अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मैं हूं मुनीज़े जहांगीर और आप देख रहे हैं प्रोग्राम स्पॉटलाइट। नाज़रीन, इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में सियासी खबर से जो बड़ी है वो माशी खबर है। पाकिस्तान में शदीद तवानाई का बहरान है और इस बहरान से निमटने के लिए पाकिस्तान रूस के साथ ताल्लुकात में तेज़ी ला रहा है। सितंबर 2022 में पाकिस्तान के वज़ीर आज़म शहबाज शरीफ और रूसी सदर व्लादिमीर पुतिन की समरकंद में मुलाकात हुई। उसके बाद जनवरी 2023 में वज़ीर ख़ारजा बिलावल भुट्टो ने मॉस्को का दौरा किया, जहां पर पाकिस्तान स्ट्रीम नेचुरल गैस पाइपलाइन पर बातचीत हुई। ये पाइपलाइन कराची से लाहौर गैस फराहम करेगी। वफाकी वज़ीर मुमलिकत डॉक्टर मुसद्दिक मलिक नवंबर 2022 में रूस गए और उसके बाद उन्होंने ऐलान किया कि रूस पाकिस्तान को तेल, गैस और डीजल रियायती नरखों पर देगा। रूस ताजिकिस्तान, अफगानिस्तान, पाकिस्तान और इंडिया गैस पाइपलाइन का हिस्सा भी बनना चाहता है और इस पे दिलचस्पी का इजहार कर चुका है, जिससे नाजरीन पाकिस्तान में खुशहाली आ सकती है। ये सब कैसे मुमकिन होगा, चूँकि अफगानिस्तान में दहशतगर्दी ने सर उठाया है और वहाँ पे अमन नहीं है, तो ये सब कुछ अफगानिस्तान से होके आना है। दूसरी तरफ रूस के साथ पाकिस्तान के क्या मुआहदे हो सकते हैं, ये बड़ा अहम सवाल है। और यूक्रेन की जंग कब तक ख़त्म होगी, क्योंकि जब जंग ख़त्म होगी तभी दुनिया में महंगाई कब होगी। इन तमाम सवालात का जवाब देने के लिए हमने दावत दी है यहाँ पे जो रशिया के एम्बेसडर हैं टू पाकिस्तान, जिनका नाम है डैनियल गैनिश, जो जुलाई 2019 से पाकिस्तान में बतौर सफ़ीर खिदमात सर अंजाम दे रहे हैं और वो इससे पहले 1999 से 2003 और 2007 से 2013 तक पाकिस्तान में खिदमात सर अंजाम दे चुके हैं। A very warm welcome to the show. Thank you so much for giving us your time and this interview. Now,
it's a pleasure for me.
There are lots of missed opportunities when it comes to Pakistan and Russia's relationship, but we are finally looking towards each other at the very least. Let's now look towards the north-south gas pipeline, the Pakistan stream, because Pakistan at the moment is energy starved and we are looking towards Russia for import of oil and gas. How quickly can we sign on that agreement? How close are we to making that a reality?
This project was high on the agenda of the recent session of the Intergovernmental Commission that took place in Islamabad just last month. I'm pretty sure that we can start pretty fast. It depends on the conclusion of some commercial agreements. As far as I understand, the interested companies are in direct contact and they're working on these commercial papers.
And these are Russian companies, private Russian companies that are in contact with Pakistan?
I suppose that some of them are state-owned, some of them are private, and they're in direct touch.
Okay, because this would really give and you know take gas towards from Karachi to Lahore, you know, to Punjab, which is really is in need of gas and oil. But what about, and moving forward, I'll ask you about the price, because that has been the latest news in our newspapers. But what about the imports of LNG? Because we are hoping to get long-term agreements on LNG. Is there an opportunity for that?
I think that we got opportunities in every field of economic cooperation, interstate economic cooperation. And as for the price for our petroleum products, definitely it will be market-based. So because we don't accept any price caps.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, because recently you have decided to reduce oil production. How will that impact the current deals that are being signed off between Pakistan and Russian companies and Russian state companies?
I do not see any direct link, frankly, because right now we don't actually trade in petroleum products with Pakistan. And basically, I think that our decision to cut down on the production of oil is linked to the desire of Russia to boost, to raise the price worldwide, I suppose that this is the motive. As for the price with Pakistan, I would say that it will depend on the quantity of the supplies, on the length of supplies. But anyway, it will not be, it will be market-based because we do not recognize any price caps. So it will be a market-based price.
To explain plainly, you said that it will boost the price of oil world over, and that's the aim of Russia.
This is the presumption, my presumption.
Yes, yes, and it has in fact boosted the price of oil since.
That's very nice.
Yes, just very recently. So of course, Pakistan will also then have to buy at a very higher price.
I'm not sure. It depends on the outcome of the negotiations.
And Pakistan would not be given, let's say, an extra handshake and an olive branch.
Maybe it will. It depends on whether it's beneficial to us.
All right. So, of course, you will keep.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a market trade-off.
Right. What other energy products is Russia willing to invest in or bring to Pakistan? Because there are ongoing talks with Russia, not just on the Pakistan stream, but there has been an interest in the Iran pipeline. There has been interest in the Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran pipeline. Where are the talks leading us? Are you discussing any of those projects?
We are ready to participate in any project which is feasible and beneficial to us. You mentioned the Iran-Pakistan pipeline. You know better than me that the main hurdle is I would say, the concern which the participants may have about the American sanctions, anti-Iran sanctions. As for the Trans-Afghan pipeline, we also need to be absolutely clear about what parameters are, how security will be in place.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the American sanctions. Let's go back to the American sanctions. We do know that the Iran pipeline is here, right here at our doorstep. However, we haven't been able to bring it into Pakistan because of the sanctions that the US has imposed, and we have not been able to implement it. Do you fear that your relationship with Pakistan, as you get closer, that there will be eyebrows lifted, raised in the US capital, and maybe that could be a hindrance towards the bilateral relationship that now Pakistan and Russia are sharing?
I wouldn't say that this is fear, because we have decided to confront the US directly and openly. So it's not fear. We don't fear anybody, including the United States. At the same time, we got to understand that the United States is a superpower, and it has its influence worldwide. So yes, I think that it may be hampering our ties. That's true, but it's up to us to overcome that.
So far, Pakistan has remained neutral in the war between Russia and Ukraine. Now, there is a lot of pressure on Pakistan to sell arms to Ukraine. If Pakistan decides to do so, would it have any impact on the ongoing deals that Pakistan wants to strike with Russia on energy?
I have to be very cautious in my response, definitely, because this is something which the government of Russia would have to decide. But definitely it's a very sensitive matter, and we are monitoring closely. And in case the hostile actions from the part of any country are proved, definitely it will influence our line of actions towards that particular country. So I got to be very cautious because of the sensitivity of the matter. But what I can tell you in the open, what I can tell you openly, is that it's a sensitive issue, as you understand, because such actions result in the deaths of our people. And we are monitoring closely.
All right.
But I cannot say what could be the exact response, because it's not my place to do so.
All right. So you are monitoring very closely, but you are not sure what the response of Russia would be if Pakistan does take a stance and send arms to Ukraine.
What you mean if Pakistan changes its neutral stance?
Yes.
As we say in Russia, we will live, we will see.
Okay.
So it has not happened yet, and
right.
I hope that it will not happen.
There are many things that Pakistan is hoping to happen with Russia. For example, one of it is the MOU, Memorandum of Understanding on wheat, importing wheat from Russia at a lower rate, at a discounted rate. Are we close to an agreement on wheat?
Oh, I would say that we already trade in wheat, so we already sell wheat to Pakistan.
Yeah.
So last year we shipped more than 700,000 tons of wheat to your country.
But specifically, what they're asking for is a MOU on discounted rates on wheat from Russia to Pakistan.
I think wheat is more important than an MOU on wheat. So we are selling the wheat. So that means that we got commercial contracts and etc.
And is there going to be a possibility of trading with Russia in rubles?
I hope so, because the United States has weaponized the dollar, and it weaponized it to preserve hegemony and control over transactions. So definitely, if we want to be independent from Washington, we got to think about using national currencies or regional currencies, whatever.
But would Pakistan be given a better deal if it trades in rubles?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I wouldn't give any benefits for that.
All right.
I think we got to respect ourselves.
All right.
So we are not a doormat, to use our weaknesses. I hope that these weaknesses in the years to come will transform in a new, rebuilt, and stronger Russia.
All right. Well, we have to take a short break over here, but I need to speak to you, of course, about Afghanistan, how Russia is going to, deal with the problem of the Taliban, with the emerging threat of the ISIS, how the region can deal with that threat. That's very important because terrorism is something that not only hounds you, but it also hounds us. A short break here and we'll be right back. वेलकम बैक नाजरीन। इस वक्त हमारे साथ हैं रूस के सफ़ीर डैनियल गानिश, जो जुलाई 2019 से पाकिस्तान में बतौर सफ़ीर खिदमात सर अंजाम दे रहे हैं। और उनसे ये पूछना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि इस वक्त पाकिस्तान को एनर्जी जो है वो चाहिए, ऑयल चाहिए, गैस चाहिए, और रूस के पास जो है ये सब कुछ है। और बायलैटरल जो हमारी नेगोशिएशंस रूस के साथ हो रही हैं उसके अंदर ये एक्सप्लोर किया जा रहा है कि क्या हम उनके साथ जो है ऐसे मुआहदे कर सकते हैं जिससे हमें सस्ता तेल जो है और गैस मिल सके। तो जो बड़ा अहम एक पाइपलाइन थी जिसके अंदर ताजिकिस्तान, किर्गिस्तान, अफ़गानिस्तान को मिला के रूस ने कहा था हम उसके अंदर भी इन्वेस्ट करेंगे, क्या वो मुमकिन है? और स्ट्रीम पाकिस्तान के हवाले से भी हम उनसे पूछेंगे कि अब तक वो रियलिटी क्यों नहीं बन पाई। एम्बेसडर, वन ऑफ द real challenges to all of this, to having all these pipelines come through Afghanistan and to Pakistan, is peace, is terrorism. That is the real challenge. And we have seen that, Russia has tried to have multilateral stakeholders come and speak to each other. You recently held a summit where India and Pakistan were invited, and the rest of the countries were invited, but Pakistan did not go, simply because it feels that India is using its soil to promote terrorism in Pakistan. You've had a very good relationship with India, historical ties with India. How are you going to balance the relationship, your newfound relationship with Pakistan and your old one with India?
First of all, we can multitask. And if we have warm and close relations with India, that doesn't mean that we cannot have the same with Pakistan. So we consider Pakistan as our friend and partner, and I don't see any problem with that. By the way, ma'am, you mentioned the threat of terrorism, and I would like to say that we are fully aware of the contribution your great country has made in international efforts. Yes, we can balance and we regard relations with Pakistan independently. So
But at the same time, when you hold a summit and you invite the two countries and one doesn't come, obviously it's a matter of concern for the host country.
I definitely I can say that we would like to have Pakistan at the negotiating table in Moscow, but I wouldn't criticize the government of a sovereign country.
Right.
So it doesn't mean that we have some serious disagreements on the Afghan issue per se.
Right. And when we talk about the Afghan issue, you did not even invite the ruling Taliban, and Russia didn't give a reason for it. Would you like to give a reason for it?
We are in constant touch with Taliban. And if Taliban was not invited in this case, that doesn't mean that it hadn't been invited before, or it won't be invited at the next session. So different meetings may have with different number of participants. So I wouldn't find any, how shall I say, hidden reasons behind this. So we are working with Taliban. We are closely engaged with our dear friend Pakistan. So I don't see any problem. We see eye to eye to the Afghan issue.
The Saudi diplomats have, departed from Kabul. It may not be on a permanent level, but is Moscow thinking of leaving Kabul as well? Is it thinking of pulling out its staff from Kabul?
Not yet. Our special representative on Afghanistan, and he's also looking after Afghanistan and Pakistan and India at the Foreign Office, Ambassador Kabulov, has recently said that these reports are inaccurate. I mean, reports about Russia possibly moving its staff out of Kabul.
Right. But how do you get the Taliban to be reasonable? They have banned women from schools. They have banned women from the workplace. There is abject poverty right now in Afghanistan. You have worked, with the Afghans for many decades now. How do you get the Taliban to be reasonable?
First of all, ma'am, since you mentioned the economic crisis in Afghanistan, I would say that the cause of the crisis is the frozen funds of the Afghan Central Bank. $7 billion have been frozen by the United States, and they're holding that money. Then sanctions, and the fear of businessmen to deal with Afghan entities because of those sanctions, and lack of proper infrastructure left by the Americans when they left So these are the root causes of economic problems in Afghanistan. We definitely stand for equality and rights, definitely. And the gender equality is no less important to Russia than it is important to the United States or some European countries.
That's why I asked you the question, how do you get the Taliban to be reasonable?
But we also got to understand that any country may have their own perceptions and its own readings of what is permissible, what is not permissible. And we got to work with Taliban.
But these are not people who have been voted in. They have come with the power of the gun. And they are not following any Afghan constitution. Certainly they're winning.
That was a revolution. The Taliban coming to power is a revolution. And they are a political reality. We got to work with them. We got to engage them, not threaten them. And a British experience, historical experience, the Soviet and American campaigns in Afghanistan taught us that the Pukhtuns and the Afghans in general do not respond to the language of threats. So you got to convince them. You got to engage them. You cannot threaten them. And I wouldn't like to sound anti-American here, so that it's not perceived as propaganda. But I would ask our viewers, let them ask themselves, why would anyone want to corner Taliban instead of trying to involve them, to engage them?
Yes.
It's very dangerous.
Yes, but so far it has not worked, Ambassador. The involving of the Taliban into negotiations, whether they be the Doha talks, they have been speaking to you, they have been speaking to the Chinese, it has not worked. And things have only regressed in Afghanistan, especially for women. So I'm asking you again, how does the world then push them to involve, to be more inclusive, especially of the 50% of the population?
The only way forward, you asking me again, I am responding you again. We have to engage them. We got to talk to them. We got to return the money, and we got to raise all restrictions, and we got to let this country live. And together convince them to reconsider some of the harsh steps they have taken. But you cannot threaten a Pushtun.
All right. There are not just Pushtuns there. Of course, there are other nationalities as well, as you yourself very well know. But there is also the threat of the Mujahideen and the militants in Central Asia. And they have been living with the Taliban in Afghanistan. How are you going to deal with that situation?
You're probably talking mostly about TTP.
TTP, yes.
Probably. Again, if the Kabul authorities were stronger, they could deal with TPP much more efficiently than they can now. So what we have to do, by the way, I forgot to mention that, we got to help the Taliban increase their counterterrorism capabilities, so that it can really help eradicate the threats emanating from the border areas.
But some of the Mujahideen are being given shelter by the Taliban. And these Mujahideen are operating in Central Asia, close to your borders. It's not a question of having a capacity for counterterrorism. It's a question of policy.
If you're talking about ISIS.
Yes.
If you're talking about ISIS
and the Khorasan group as well?
Yeah. So again, we do know that they are harsh enemies of Taliban. They're harsh enemies. They're fighting one another.
We will come to ISIS, but there are certain Mujahideen groups as well who have been given
No,
shelter with the Taliban.
I would like to concentrate on ISIS, which is the main threat to all of us, to you, to us, to everybody in this region.
Right. And you would not like to talk about the Mujahideen who've been given shelter by the Taliban and are operating in Central Asia?
When you say generally Mujahideen,
yes.
I like
there are different groups.
I
very
like
groups.
This word, Mujahideen, because there is nothing bad about it.
Yes.
But if we're talking about specific organizations acting in this Central Asian space, there are two of them, TTP and ISIS, the main groups.
There was a very specific statement that one of your officials gave, one of your presidential candidates, saying that America is responsible for funding ISIS in Afghanistan. Is that what Moscow believes as well?
I would say that I don't have, you're asking me personally, so my personal response would be I don't have any concrete facts at hand. But I see the motives. And when I see the motives, I can presume that there may be some kind of U.S. support. Because history shows that when it suits them, the Americans may not pay much attention to what kind of clientele they have. So they are using different forces.
Does Moscow have specific evidence to support some of its claims that the Americans may be behind ISIS, maybe funding ISIS?
I suppose that mostly this is intelligence. When we are talking about intelligence, you usually say that, as our American partners say, highly likely. So probably we have evidence, but we cannot make it public because we wouldn't want to compromise the sources.
All right. Well, we'll have to take a short break over here, and then we will speak about Ukraine and the current government and also the opposition, Mr. Imran Khan. All of that after this short break. वेलकम बैक नाज़रीन। इस वक्त हमारे साथ हैं रूसी एम्बेसडर डैनियल गानिश, जो जुलाई 2019 से पाकिस्तान में बतौर सफ़ीर ख़िदमत सर अंजाम दे रहे हैं, और उनसे हम पूछेंगे यूक्रेन वॉर के बारे में, और फिर जो साबिक़ वज़ीर आज़म की ट्रिप थी मॉस्को उसके हवाले से भी पूछेंगे, क्योंकि उसके इर्द गिर्द काफ़ी कंट्रोवर्सी जो थी वो जनरेट हुई थी. Ambassador, let's now talk about Ukraine, because obviously that really is what is driving the economy down of the world, as we would say. Now, in 1988, the Soviets were able to strike a deal, with the Americans and pull out of Afghanistan, the Geneva Accords.
Yeah.
Why can't you do a similar deal now in Ukraine? I mean, you will have to bleed for another at least couple of years before there is some kind of conclusion to what is happening there.
We are ready for a negotiated settlement. This is my response to you. And in the recent days, there were a number of statements from the Russian leadership. But again, since we got to be objective, I would like to pay your attention and attention of the viewers that the West wants our defeat on the battlefield. So provided that, that means that any accord with the participation of the West would be on their terms, which is unacceptable to us.
But at the same time, you have done an accord in 1988 in Afghanistan,
but
where there was a withdrawal as well. How is that any different from what's happening now in Ukraine?
Because the adventure, I would say, adventurism at that time had nothing to do with our national interests. It was a historic mistake by the Soviets to invade Afghanistan, to break, Pushtun Valley when they killed the host. This is completely different. What we got in Ukraine is perceived as an existential threat to us. So we want that threat removed, no matter what. And I think this is the fundamental difference, ma'am.
So how would you then end this war? It seems like it can go on for a couple of years. Is there a desire? There seems to be a desire with the Russian civilians, at least, that they want to see an end to the war. The world wants to see an end to the war. How do you see a way around it?
Nobody wants their relatives dead, and people are dying during this special military operation. But at the same time, again, Russia perceives this threat to be exact NATO expansion as an existential threat. When you have an existential threat, you can do anything to achieve your goal and to remove that threat.
There is a saying in our country that we will have the atomic weapon and we will eat grass for that. It seems that Russia wants to...
Exactly.
You're willing to eat grass.
Exactly.
But you will go to war with
Exactly.
Ukraine. All right.
We will go to any extent to eliminate that threat.
Okay. Now, if the war escalates in Ukraine, how is that going to impact your relationship with China?
We hope it will not, but it will be the decision of Beijing. Because again, this is, I repeat that many times so that you understand that this is very important to us. This is an existential threat. When you got an existential threat, you don't have much of a choice.
All right. Well, moving on to domestic politics, Pakistani politics, the former Prime Minister Imran Khan came to Moscow on the same days that you announced the war on Ukraine. Of course, it was very embarrassing for the Prime Minister at that time. And then your Russian Foreign Office criticized the US for being involved in an alleged conspiracy to overthrow the premier. And it also said, the statement, that the opposition was colluding with the Western superpower. So what does Russia believe? That in fact there was a conspiracy to oust former Prime Minister Imran Khan, and that conspiracy was hatched by Washington?
I think we cannot look at it black and white. Definitely when you have a disappointment on the part of the superpower, which the US clearly is, so you got problems. So definitely when they told His Excellency Imran Khan to wind up his visit to Russia, and he refused and acted as a man, I think, that he didn't humiliate himself, caving into a diktat. Definitely he raised, he irritated the White House, definitely.
So what you're saying is that
this is a factor. What I'm saying is that this is not the cause. This is a factor. So
Washington, what you're saying is Washington asked Prime Minister Imran Khan to wind up his visit in Moscow and come back, and when he refused to do so, that upset Washington, and that may have led to his ouster?
I don't know exactly in what form. When you're asking like this, probably I have put it awkwardly because English is not my native language. Mm-hmm. But when I say he refused to wind up a visit, that means that he got the signal. This is clearly, it was in your press too. And he refused to do that. That was an act of a man. and he defended the respect and the authority of the Pakistani state. And the fact that he was in Moscow on February 24th itself is a proof that he hadn't known anything about what would happen, because otherwise he wouldn't have come.
So, when you say that he would not have come, did you purposefully not tell him what was going to happen, or indicate to him what was going to happen?
That was a coincidence. That was a coincidence.
But obviously a very embarrassing one for Pakistan, and it put Pakistan in a very awkward position. The question really is, does Moscow actually believe that it was the United States that hatched a conspiracy in Pakistan to start a no-confidence motion against Imran Khan, eventually leading to his ouster?
No. Again, we cannot... I'm very stubborn too. I will repeat once again. This is not black and white. This is a factor contributing to the, the ouster. But you know better than me that there were some problems inside the country already, and inside the parliament.
Right. But when you do say that this contributed to Imran Khan's ouster, the current government is going to take it as though the Moscow believes, at the behest of Washington, they moved a no-confidence motion. That's what the current government is going to look like. That's how they're going to see it as.
Again, for the fourth time, there were a number of factors behind this internal development, and it's your internal development. We have good relations with any administration. No matter who comes to power, we have great relations with anyone.
You don't see the PMLN and the PPP as somebody who was propped up by Washington, or perhaps has the support of Washington?
I think that the primary cause for the domestic changes and developments were domestic. It was domestic.
All right.
But of course, when the United States is dissatisfied with someone, it creates problems. But it's not the decisive factor.
All right, so the decisive factor...
It's a factor,
right,
a significant. But definitely, if he hadn't had, if His Excellency Imran Khan, whom I respect very much, hadn't had serious internal domestic problems, he would have stayed as the head of government.
Despite the conspiracy.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, to better relations between Pakistan and Russia, and to more bilateral trade, thank you so much, Ambassador, for giving us your time. नाज़रीन, आज के लिए इतना ही. मुनीज़े जहांगीर को इजाज़त दीजिए. खुदा हाफ़िज़.